We are moving on, though, now to that bombshell in the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal. Actress Loughlin and her husband, Mossimo Giannulli, reversing course and now agreeing to plead guilty. Deborah Roberts is here with more on the deal, which includes prison time for both of them. Deborah, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Yeah, they became the public face of this astonishing scandal. For a while, Loughlin pushed back against prosecutors, but just months before what was probably going to be a very costly trial, she and her husband gave up the fight.
Ready to fight? Anything you'd like to say?
This morning, Loughlin and husband Mossimo Giannulli admitting their roles in the college admissions cheating scandal. Later today, the Full House star will appear in front of a judge via video conference due to the pandemic, pleading guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. Her husband will plead guilty to 2 charges. Under a deal with prosecutors, Loughlin will serve 2 months behind bars, Giannulli 5. They'll also pay combined fines of $400,000 and perform hundreds of hours of community service. The couple's change of heart coming more than a year after being arrested, along with dozens of other parents in the bombshell Varsity Blues case. Loughlin and Giannulli accused of paying $500,000 to the scheme's mastermind, Rick Singer, to get their daughters into USC as fake rowing recruits, even though neither girl rowed competitively. At first pleading not guilty, insisting the payments were legitimate donations, and accusing prosecutors of misconduct. Their daughters, 20-year-old Olivia Jade and 21-year-old Bella, no longer attend USC. Both have kept low profile since their parents' arrest.
Obviously, I've been gone for a really long time, and as much as I wish I could talk about all of this.
The sisters recently posting heartfelt tributes to Loughlin on Instagram for Mother's Day.
I said a lot of things I shouldn't have. I'm sorry.
Desperate Housewives star Felicity Huffman, who, unlike Loughlin, apologized and pleaded guilty immediately after being charged. Huffman served 2 weeks in federal prison for paying $15,000 to have a proctor correct her daughter's SAT exam. Lead prosecutor Andrew Loughlin speaking to our affiliate WCVB days after Huffman's sentencing.
She took responsibility almost immediately. She was contrite, did not try to minimize her conduct. I think she handled it in a very classy way.
Jennifer Myers, who served time behind bars herself, is now a prison consultant who helps nonviolent first-time offenders prepare for their new life behind bars. She says Loughlin could face challenges in prison.
There's going to be some women that are not going to like her. The sense that maybe Lori's entitled, especially because of what she did, possibly that she didn't take responsibility immediately, is going to really bother some women. Same with guards and COs. Some are not going to like Lori at all.
A federal judge will have to sign off on all of this. In about 90 days, Loughlin and Giannulli will find out their actual sentencing. As for Singer, he is facing decades in prison. Amy?
Thanks to Deb Roberts for that. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, and senior legal correspondent and former federal prosecutor, Sunny Hostin. Thank you both for being here. And Dan, what do you make of this plea deal, and do you think a judge will accept the terms of the deal?
Well, look, I think it's likely that a judge will accept the terms. But what I think happened here is I think both sides ended up coming together, meaning initially the position of Lori Loughlin and her husband was, we're not pleading, we're innocent, not happening. But they recently lost a big motion in the case to dismiss it. I think also, though, prosecutors have realized that they might have some holes in their case as well, because initially, when this case was just starting, defendants who had conduct similar to what we're seeing from Lori Loughlin and her husband were being offered deals where prosecutors would recommend 15 months. And now you see Mossimo being offered 5 months, Lori Loughlin being offered 2 months. That says to me that prosecutors have also moved a little bit, and I think that's what brought the parties together here.
All right. And Sunny, what do you think? After 14 months of claiming innocence, why do you think they pled guilty now?
You know, I would agree with Dan that it's pretty clear that they lost this motion to dismiss, and that it was a Hail Mary motion in my view. But certainly that had a lot to do with the fact that they decided to plead guilty. I don't think that the prosecutors have a lot of holes in their case, but I am surprised at the recommendation. 2 months and 5 months after wasting prosecutors' time for 7 months is very odd to me. But I will say this is a perfect time for them to plead, because COVID-19 is the headline. A lot of people are getting compassionate releases from prison. So I wouldn't be surprised that that also weighed into the equation. You plead guilty now. Are you even going to serve 2 months or 5 months? Perhaps you serve even less than Felicity Huffman. She was sentenced to 2 weeks in prison and she served 11 days. So she served quite a bit of her sentence. I don't know that that would happen here at this time.
Yeah, Dan, I was going to ask you, do you think that this pandemic will affect the amount of time they serve behind bars?
Yeah, I don't, because I think there's actually a provision in the agreement which specifically addresses that, which says, for example, let's wait 90 days on executing this, specifically to avoid them getting some COVID break, as we've seen, by the way, with other defendants who have pled guilty in connection with this case. So I think that's something that prosecutors are acutely aware of. I really do believe that this had to do with the defense thinking for a while, we've got some really good arguments here. There are some real problems with the middleman Singer's account. We're going to really be able to get the judge to take some action on our behalf. And when none of that happened, I think they realized we've got to work with them. But again, look at the numbers that the prosecutors were offering months ago to people whose conduct was similar to theirs. And you have to say, what happened? And it seems to me what happened is that prosecutors, for whatever reason, are more concerned today or more willing to give better deals today than they were months ago.
Yeah, and Sonny, you're a former prosecutor. How does this deal compare with what Felicity Huffman got? And could Loughlin have been sentenced to less time if she cooperated from the beginning, or is she getting this relief because it's COVID-19?
You know, I don't think that she would have gotten less time. I really do believe that this is a slap on the wrist type of sentence, because if you think about Felicity Huffman, she took responsibility immediately. She didn't waste the government's time. She didn't waste taxpayer dollars. She was the first parent to plead guilty and she only paid $15,000. While that is a lot of money, when you compare it to what Lori Loughlin and her husband paid, we're talking about $500,000 for 2 children, whereas Felicity Huffman's involvement was limited to 1 child. And so really, you can't compare the conduct, and I am surprised at the lightness of the sentence that was offered.
All right, Sonny Hostin, Dan Abrams, we appreciate both of your legal analysis. Thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.